I buy and sell real estate here in Oklahoma City. I'm 24. I've got a portfolio of about 12 million in real estate. Today, we're going to be talking about this micro development that we're doing. Really, the play is here to flip it and make some money, you know. And I've also got a local bank that is financing this. They're fine with me owner financing the lots. Here in Oklahoma, you got to have permission. You got to do it right. I've got a lawyer. We've written our contracts correctly. So we may owner finance these lots or we may sell them outright, whatever comes first. I don't really care. But when it comes to buying land, like, this is where I wouldn't recommend it. There's a lot of guys online that are like, land flipping. Everybody wants to flip land right now. But the reality is, you don't know what you're doing. You get stuck. You can get yourself into a tight spot, or you get stuck with some land that you can't do anything with it. So this piece here came on the market at $165,000, I think is where it was listed. And we initially offered $140. It was a deal at $165, but I wanted to see if I could make it a little bit more of a deal. Offered $140. They said no. We ended up coming up to $160. I'm paying my agent on it. And so it's 30 acres total. So price per acre on this is, we're $5,300 an acre right now, is what we landed on. Well, there just so happens to be a 30-acre tract that sold just south of us, like a mile and a half, for $7 an acre, as is. And so that's, when it comes to selling land, you've got to be careful because it is very speculative. There's a lot more due diligence. When you're dealing with a house, which you guys often see me dealing with, or even commercial property, you got to check your water, you got to check your septic or your sewer, you got to check all the major mechanicals and whatnot. But when it comes to land, let's say I bought this piece and I didn't know what I was doing, and I would go to drill a well because we have no rural water, we have no water taps, and there's no water here. That's how it's speculative. You got to be really careful. So you got to verify your water. You got to verify, can you put a septic out here? You know, here in Oklahoma, thankfully, if you can't put a traditional septic with lateral lines, because we're selling these lots, they have to go well and septic. This isn't going to be sewer line hookup. This isn't going to be water taps. Like, these have to be well and septic, which is pretty common when you get into the rural areas. But you got to make sure that you can drill well and you've got water, and you've got to make sure that you can put a septic tank in. Well, in Oklahoma, you do what's called a perk test for septics. You test the soil, you make sure, can you put in a traditional septic with lateral lines, which is like the old school traditional way of doing it. Or nowadays we have what's called an aerobic system, which aerobic systems can go anywhere. Like this here, like if we look at this rock, and let me just preface by saying I'm not a professional. You can't run a lateral line through this stuff here. And so you would have to do an aerobic system, from my understanding. Perk test has already been done here. And I know if you can't do a traditional septic, you can do an aerobic system. But I'll tell you guys a quick story. I got a message from a guy not long ago, different state. He bought this deal and he's like, hey, what would you have done in this situation? He'd already done something with it, but he bought this house, $100,000, put $100,000 into it, goes to sell it, and he didn't do any due diligence. This is why I'm always preaching, do your due diligence. He goes to sell the property and realizes that the septic tank's bad, so the buyers want it replaced. So he goes to the city to pull a permit. City says, you can't put a septic tank here. Well, he couldn't hook up to local utilities either. And so he's got $200,000 in this deal, ended up selling it for 50 grand to an investor, still paying the note off to the bank because he was upside down on it. And so anyways, you gotta be really careful because that could happen to you. That could happen to anybody, and that's why real estate investing, you really need to understand how it works before you go just jump in. It was unfortunate, he'd already sold the property. I asked him, I said, why didn't you get an aerobic system? And he was like, I don't even know what that is. So I don't know for sure or not, but here in Oklahoma, if you can't do a traditional septic, I would just do an aerobic. So it might have been an option for him. So we're gonna walk around this piece here because when I'm looking at putting a property under contract, I wanna make sure that the way that I'm splitting it up, we can put a home site on every lot. And so we're standing on a lot here. This is probably lot like 2 or 3. Like this, for example, we're standing at the top of the hill here. This would be a pretty good spot for a home site. You see everything drains down here. This would not be a great spot for a home site. And so we need to go verify, is there a spot on this lot 1 that you can put a home site? Because this will also make the difference between, are we gonna split this into a 3-acre tract down here with 200-foot frontage, or are we gonna do a 5-acre tract with 400-foot frontage, so that way somebody can put a home site out here. Now, when I do a development like this, and I haven't done a ton, it really matters the type of financing you get, because I'm never going to finance a property with a bank that is not okay with me going and owner financing the property after the fact. So I'm gonna finance, I'm gonna have a first position lien, and then I'm gonna go finance it to somebody on terms at that point. You need to make sure that your bank is your partner and they're on board with everything. Because the last thing you wanna do is finance a property like this and then turn around and go finance it to somebody else, and then you didn't run anything through your bank and come to find out they didn't like that, they didn't want that. And so this is a bank that I'm using that is comfortable with me financing this on terms. It creates a ton of cash flow. Like this little $160,000 property, I'll update you guys here in 4 or 5 months when we're all sold out, but I estimate we'll sell out above 300,000, because when we're taking a larger piece and we're splitting it into smaller tracts, we're able to increase the value. It's just like a house. If you have a 600 square foot house, the price per square foot that it's going to sell at is typically higher than a 2,000 square foot house. Not always, but typically. The bank's super on board. I've sent them everything. They like my play, and I'm excited to close this. All right, so coming down here, like, this is real grown up. I've already looked at an elevation map of this property. We're inside of track 1 right here. We're kind of hitting a low spot, and I believe there's a creek that all this feeds into, but then it lifts back up towards the back. And so if somebody wanted, they could put a home site here in the back. They could build the pad up a little bit. They could put it towards the front. I'll tell you guys what my fail-safe is. If I don't sell this property, it's just gonna be hunting land. I do wanna point that out though, like, you never wanna go all in on a deal, because everybody ends up hitting a point where they're like, well, shit, I didn't think about this. You know, even the seasoned investors that know what they're doing. And so you wanna make sure, if you guys are gonna be looking at buying land, I'm not telling you to go buy land, but if you're gonna be looking at doing something similar or buying land, you need to have really good reserves and a really good understanding of real estate in general and sales, because these tracts don't typically move quickly on MLS. We sell these tracts more so on like Facebook Marketplace. And so just something to keep in mind, like you need to know what you're doing, because if you got into a deal and you were too optimistic and you got stuck with it, you didn't know what to do, and you didn't have the reserves to float it, you could get real sour real quick. This is, in my opinion, the worst lot on the property, just because everything drains down this way. Like when you're looking at pricing these properties and you're splitting them up, they're not all gonna sell for the same price. And so just to break down like quick numbers for you guys, what I'm trying to do. We're buying this at $5,300 an acre. I have 0 development. We've got electric at the road. Buyers are gonna finance their own well and septic, so I'm gonna leave that up to them. So we're just selling raw land is what we're selling. So we're buying at $5,300 an acre. The survey is gonna cost $4,500. I still have closing fees as well. So $4,500 on the survey. I'll probably pay a point on origination. And the downside to buying raw land is the banks want more down. So I've gotta put 30% down on this purchase, which if you think a typical $160,000 property, I'm putting 10% down, so I'm putting $16,000 down, versus on this deal, I'm gonna be putting more like $50,000 down. Hey, real quick, y'all, if you guys are interested in how I underwrite, find, and buy deals like this one here, and you want to work with me personally and my team, you click the link below, fill out an application, and if you're a good fit, we can work together. We're taking on a select amount of new students each month. And so if that's something that you're interested in, click the link below. Otherwise, appreciate you guys watching the video. Let's get back into it. We're still buying single family. We've got 15 projects either under contract or closing on or buying. And so we're starting to ramp up a little bit. The main downside to the land stuff so far that I have found has been, you've got to bring a lot more down to closing. So it just costs more. You guys may have banks that will finance it cheaper than that. A lot of the banks see it as speculative. With a single family house, when you buy it, you can look at all the comps in the area and go, you know what? I can pretty realistically say this is gonna sell for 150 bucks a square foot or 200 bucks a square foot. When it comes to the land though, it's different, because this is on a gravel road, for example. Well, you can't comp a piece of property that's on a gravel road the same as a piece of property that's on paved road. You also can't comp this piece of property to one that's hillier than this, or that maybe doesn't have a creek running through it. The comps are a little bit more sporadic, and so you gotta keep that in mind. One thing I do need to verify this week is, you see This is a county maintained road right here. We're just off of the main road. There's no HOA, no restrictions. I already called the county. I verified we could do the lot split. We've got the electric right here, and I need to verify what it's gonna cost to pull it over. And so I gotta call the electric company. I called my well guy, I called local well guy out here just to verify how deep the wells were, which also, I don't know if you guys have this in your state, but we've got a site called OWRB.org or .com. And you go on there and you can see all of the public wells that have been, I guess, certified or been placed on properties over the last who knows how long. I checked that there was local water as well. Something we ran into, we just had a piece under contract north of the city, pretty prime location actually. We hopped on OWRB and we're like, there's not a well in this whole section. Like there's one. We're like, that's pretty sketchy. So we ended up calling some well companies and they're like, yeah, there's no water up here. And so if we would have bought that property with no water, I mean, who are we gonna sell that to, you know? And so then we got creative. We called rural water company that district was in. So we called them. They said, hey, we don't have any taps available because there's no water. So everybody's using the rural water service. So anyways, we couldn't end up figuring it out. We couldn't get the deal done. I was happy that we knew what we were doing. And we even thought about it. We were like, well, we could speculate here and spend $5,000 and drill a well. And we almost went that route, but there were a few other factors. We were gonna drill it before we closed as long as the sellers were okay with it. But there were a few other factors. Something else that we look at is how many gallons per minute you can pull out. If you're in an area with low water, you know that you can't connect to rural water. You've got to know how many gallons per minute are you going to pull out of a well. Because if it's only 5 gallons per minute, well, you go place 4 wells close by, and they might drop down to 3 or 4 gallons per minute, which really isn't that much. It's not enough to run a larger household. You want closer to like 10, 15, 20 gallons per minute. And that's what you get in like areas that have a lot of water. And so those are things that we're looking at when we're buying in these rural areas, that we know that there's no rural water and you've got to drill a well. Because just because you can drill a well doesn't mean that you're gonna hit water. You might hit nothing, or you might hit salt water, even here in Oklahoma, and you can't do anything with it. You see, I think somebody could build this up right here. There's going to be likely utility easements right here at the front. When I get the survey back, I'll be able to look at that utility easement and see what the setback's gonna be, how far off the road they have to build. But I do think that somebody has room to be able to put a mobile home or house if they want to put a house out here. A lot of buyers that buy these, they're looking for affordable land. They want to be able to put a mobile home out here, so I think that's a play. I'm speculating that I think I can get $12,000 an acre, which you guys may call as crazy. And honestly, I think I'm a little crazy for thinking that too. But I underwrote this, that worst case scenario, because there's a 30-acre tract that sold down the street, let's say all hell breaks loose, and I can't sell any of these tracts. I just sell it as one 30-acre piece for $6,000 or $7,000 an acre. And still make, like if I just took what I was buying it at $5,300 an acre, which is $160,000, I'll have 170 in it when I close with my buy side closing costs, lender fees, title fees, and my survey. And I go sell it for $7,000 an acre. That's $210. I'll pay 3% commission to an agent, a couple months of holding costs. We'll call it, I'll make 30 grand on it. It's not a bad deal. But what I'm trying to do at this point in time is maximize every investment that I make. I heard something the other day that Warren Buffett said before. He said, if you knew you could only make 10 investments in your life, you would probably be a lot pickier about where you invest your money. That kind of resonated with me because I buy a lot of deals that aren't necessarily bad deals. I'm like, you know, should I have really bought that deal? But it's like, there's got to be more to it, you know what I mean? I don't know if I necessarily want to go and scale and buy 30 houses at a time. Like, a lot of people do want to do that. Like, we have 15 projects right now. I feel pretty good with that because some of the projects are like this. There's not much for us to do, you know? Like, yeah, we got to sell the land when we close on it, but it's not every day. We're making decisions. We're making tile selections. We're deciding exactly what route to go. Like, with one single family home, between me, Logan, and B, we're probably making 100 decisions through the whole transaction, if not more. We're checking in with contractors and we're checking the projects multiple times a week. Like, there is none of that with this. There's a lot more risk with this though, you know? And so that's where I don't want you guys to get shiny object syndrome. I'm 6 years into my investing career now. I've got a $12 million portfolio. I have good reserves that if I bought this deal and nothing happened and do nothing with it, you know? So I'm okay taking on that risk of like, well, if I can't sell it, which I know I can, it's not gonna change my life in a good way or a bad way, you know? And so anyways, I've been thinking about that a lot, but for me, I looked at this and I go, okay, if I sell 3 acre tracts, that's at $12,000 an acre, or you know what it is, there are 2.5 acre tracts for $12,000 an acre. So let me see what that nets out to. 30,000, yeah. Look, Logan's on his math. You know, I like this because you guys are gonna watch this and go, if that idiot can do it, then I can as well. But so if I sell these for 30,000, if I finance them, I'm gonna finance them with 20 or 10% down, so $3,000 down. If somebody goes and gets a bank loan on this, they're gonna have to put 10% down or 3.5% down if they do a land mobile home package, which a lot of people do. They may go to one of these companies in the city that we work with. We want to buy this piece of land out here. We want you guys to finance all of it. The dirt work, the well, the septic, the pad, the driveway, the mobile home, and the land. 200,000 all wrapped in. They'll give them a loan 3.5% down. That's affordable to be able to buy a nice piece of land 45 minutes outside the city. Well, this gives somebody an opportunity to go do it for $180,000 to $200,000. That's all I'm riding on, honestly. So if that doesn't work, my fallback plan is we're just gonna sell it as is. I hope you guys appreciate the honesty, honestly, because I'm not gonna come on here and I'm not gonna bullshit like I have it all figured out and that this for sure is gonna work. Like, no. A lot of my success I can boil down to just the risks that I'm willing to take. And instead of going and doing this on $1 million project, we're starting kind of smaller, you know? This one is a lot more speculative because we don't know the numbers as well. And so on a deal like this, I'm gonna start smaller with, I'm okay if this doesn't sell, or I'm okay if things go south, even though I don't think that they will. They could, and I'm just gonna figure it out along the way. So, but you can see all pretty flat land all through here. We're just gonna chunk these out, 2.5, 2.5, 2.5. We'll walk up here to the front because we do have frontage on this main road over here. And the plan is I'm gonna split those into 1.5 acre tracts and sell those for 19,000 each, which that nets down to 12, we're still at 12.6 an acre. But I wanted to cut those up to see, do the 1.5 acre tracts sell quicker than the 2.5 acre tracts? So we're gonna figure that out. If we finance this whole project, I'm gonna get the 10% back on each lot that I sell. So I'll get about $33,000 back. I'll still have about 20,000 in the deal. And then I estimate that we'll net about $2,200 a month over 20 years. We'll make almost all of our investment back year one if we're able to finance all these. But you know, I don't care what route they go. If somebody wants to come and pay cash for them, even better, because my bank is giving me a 60% release on each lot. So let's say I sell one of these tracts for 30,000. 60% of that's gonna go to the bank to pay the note down. 40% of that's gonna come back to me. So I will recapture some of each lot that I sell until it's either paid off or until we sell all of these on notes. So that's kind of what this deal looks like, y'all. You know, I called the county, verified that there's no restrictions. We're kind of in a more rural county here. They literally told me, we do not care what you do, which is pretty sweet because not all counties are like that. They're like, we don't care if you split it. We don't care. I'm like, is there any restrictions on mobile? They're like, we do not care what you do. Obviously, you want to get that in writing if you talk to a county or a city or municipality and verify that in writing, but they were pretty confident there's no restrictions across the board on this. So we also have fiber at the road. That's an important piece for a lot of buyers, is like, what's the internet access look like out here? You know, it's those little things that kind of stop you in your tracks. Restrictions are big. I'm not gonna restrict any of these lots. Restrictions are important when you're platting something out. Say you're taking a road into a neighborhood and you have a private road that has to be maintained. Well, you're gonna have to have an HOA. Well, if you've got an HOA, you may have restrictions. If you have restrictions, you may limit your buyer pool, you know, and so that's something that you wanna think about. I really think the amount of money that people make is gonna be directly correlated with the amount of risk that they're willing to take. If you guys have any questions about this development at all, hit me up, let me know. I hope that adds value, and I'll catch you guys later.